Elvis had a lot of Brenda Lee music. Elvis had a lot of gospel music too. And the gospel bands and the groups that he grew up listening to, going down to the Ellis Auditorium in downtown Memphis as a kid and hanging out at the back door, just like we used to do at Elvis concerts. Elvis did it with gospel groups. And he was known by those groups as the kid that was hanging out, singing their music, became friends with J.D. Sumner when he was still a kid, and later on was able to incorporate J.D. and his group into his life on the road. But when he got ready to go back to Vegas, because he had been in Vegas in the 60s and hadn't done that well. But in 1969, things were different. And he put a band together, the TCB band, James Burton and all the guys. And he had to have a gospel group on stage. And until 1977, every show he did, every rock concert he gave, he had at least 2 gospel groups on stage with him at all times. There were people that went to those shows to see rock that might have heard gospel for the very first time. And one of the groups that he had on stage with him on that debut in 1969 and for the next few years, and if you've seen That's the Way It Is, you've seen them rehearsing with Elvis. And you could tell how much he loved the music. And as they'll probably say, they did 2 shows a night with Elvis. They did the one on stage, and then they did the one up at the suite, singing gospel music. Here to represent the Imperials, we've got Terry Blackwood, Jim Murray, Greg Gordon, and Roger Wiles, the Imperials. Jim, have a seat right there.
Thank you. All right.
Good to see you, sir. You have right there. Terry, you can come right here.
Yeah, right here.
There,
Great.
there you go.
Terry, little Terry here.
Roger,
Terry there.
There you go.
Tom, why don't you sit right there?
Thank you, Jim. I'll sit right here. You get a gospel group together, they all want to stand where they used to sing there. That's the only way. They want to
stand.
They want to
on the right end.
Yeah, exactly.
It was on the left side.
Well, we were talking about Elvis's love of gospel music, and it goes back so early in his childhood, growing up, hearing that music and wanting to have it as a part of his life. And somehow the rock and roll sidetracked him, but he always came back to it. And the Imperials, one of his favorite groups. Tell me about, Jim, and if you want, just go down the line, however you want to talk about, for people, like I said, that might not know anything about gospel, and especially to a Southern boy, what gospel music means.
Well, and it's amazing that you said a Southern boy, because I'm from up north.
See, okay.
And so I had never heard gospel music, and when I was in high school, there was this group called the Melodiers. And up there, you had to have airs in your name if you were going to be a gospel group. The Jordanaires, yeah. The Harmonaires, well, we were the Melodiers. And so we traveled all over Michigan, but I'd heard gospel music for the first time. I knew who Elvis was, but I never connected the two. So that's where it started in my life, but I know these guys have different stories. This guy here's heard gospel all his life. You want to tell them a little bit about gospel in your life?
Yeah, my family is, they had a gospel group for a long time called the Chuck Wagon Gang. Yeah.
Who was your mother?
My mom was Anna. And,
Jimmy Davis's wife.
yeah,
Right?
my daddy's wife first.
Your daddy's wife. I stand corrected.
But,
Sid corrected.
I grew up around gospel music. I was traveling with my mom and my dad's group, the Chuck Wagon Gang, from when I was 16. And then I was hanging out with the Oak Ridge boys just because they let me. And, riding their bus. And J.D. Sumner was a bass singer in gospel music, and he pulled me over to the side one day and he said, "Hey, the Imperials are looking for a baritone singer, and I think you'd be good with them." And I said, "Well, where are they at?" And so they hired me, and actually, I thought they were going to hire Larry Gatlin, but they hired me instead. Yay. Terry, tell them who your folks are.
It's kind of a family tradition, isn't it?
I guess y'all have heard of the name Blackwood. I am a son of Doyle Blackwood, and his little brother James was born, well, the oldest brother, Roy, was born in 1900. My daddy, Doyle, was born in 1911, and my Uncle James was born in 1919. So by the time James was born, the oldest son, R.W., had gotten married and had a son named R.W. Blackwood. That was the original Blackwood Brothers Quartet. R.W., Roy, Doyle, my father, and James. Daddy at that time was a master of ceremonies in the group, and he would often introduce the quartet as, "We are the Blackwood Brothers. We're probably the only group you will ever see that's comprised of 3 brothers, 2 uncles, 2 nephews, a father, and a son."
I'm my own grandpa, yeah.
And the next connection with gospel music.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. And it's been a blast. It's really wonderful. I'm like all of us, we grew up in gospel music. We grew up singing it and enjoying it and being blessed by it. And Elvis was the same way. He had that same sense about it. I look at the 50-something years since Elvis was with us here on this earth, and it was quite amazing that there's still this many people that would come here. And I just want to affirm to you, he was really a nice guy. Forget all the nonsense. He was a good man. Guys loved him, women adored him. I can tell you a quick story if I may.
Please.
We were down here at the Ellis Auditorium in Memphis singing with the quartet. Elvis was in town, so he came to hear us. And they fixed a little place like off to the side where all the cool people got to go, and so forth. And so he was back there. Well, I had gotten married while I was there, and my wife was back there with the cool people. And we sang, and he sang with us. And as we were leaving, and this is typical Elvis, and typical my wife Jane, who's with us here, and I've been married 55 years. We were leaving the stage, walking by, and I said, "Well, what did you think? King of rock and roll. What did you think?" And she stopped, looked. She said, "He's really pretty, isn't he?" But it's been a pleasure to sing gospel music all these years, and thank you for being supportive of it. It's been terrific. Thank you.
That's the second time I've heard that word pretty this morning. If Jerry Reed were here, he would probably agree saying the same thing. Gospel music, like you were saying, that him even coming down from Graceland to listen to all of you, it meant so much to him. And the message that's contained within that music is something that obviously spoke to him, because when he was finished singing for all of us, a lot of you were parts of those times of him singing gospel music, or maybe you guys entertaining him singing gospel music. Sometimes the same song over and over.
Yes.
But he was always a fan of,
At 3 in the morning.
At 3 in the morning, yeah. But always a fan of the music. What are some of the memories you have of not the times on stage with Elvis, with gospel, but when one-on-one time with you and the guys?
I think it was a time when he relaxed. We had actually done 2 shows. Am I right on that, Terry?
8 o'clock and midnight.
8 o'clock and midnight. And by that time, you know, we're talking like this. And I mean, we're tired. Somebody get that.
The president is calling.
Yeah. And we would, you know, we would go up and sing after we were invited, and we went up there, and he would just, he was almost a different person. He wasn't, but he looked so relaxed. You know, he had, and he had to put it, sometimes he would have his robe on, you know, he would just be so relaxed. He'd sit down at the piano and he'd just start tinkling on the piano and calling the guys over, and we'd go over and sing some song that he'd pick out, gospel song. I mean, that to him was the time that he kind of let his hair down and just relaxed. So those to me were the memories. I mean, you remember him on stage, of course, but it was after the show's over, I think you see the real guy.
Yeah.
The real guy comes out, and he was down to earth, low key, gentleman, loved people, loved us, made us feel welcome into his family. I mean, it was just just a gathering that, and those nights I'll never forget them. And I know you guys feel the same way.
Yeah.
Any memories of those times?
I remember, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I remember we didn't go up to the penthouse every night, but when we were invited, we would go up there after the second show. You did? Yeah. Beautiful penthouse, by the way.
Good food.
Well, we get done with the show about 2, we would go up to the penthouse. First thing we would do was walk in, there was food there for us. But we would listen to some records on the record player. He loved Jimmy Jones of the Harmonizing Four, and he loved hearing him sing Farther Along. But after that, Elvis would sometimes get on his karate outfit, and he would bring Charlie out. And he would give us a karate demonstration, and Charlie was the fall guy. And there were many nights that Charlie fell under the weight of Elvis's blow. But he recovered from it. But after we got done with the karate, we would stand around the piano and sing. And I remember one particular night, Mama Cass of the Mamas and the Papas came there, and she loved Elvis. And after we had sung a few songs, Elvis said, "Why don't we sing Amazing Grace?" So we started singing that song, but before we started, Mama said, "Elvis, why do you sing all these gospel songs? I don't understand. I mean, I love them, but why do you do them?" And after we finished during the song, Amazing Grace, we sang all verses. I looked over at Mama Cass, and she was starting to cry. And by the time we finished the song, there was kind of a holy hush over that group. She looked at Elvis and she said, "Elvis," with a tear in her eyes, she said, "Now I understand why you sing these gospel songs." She said, "I haven't heard that song or sung that song since I was a little girl. Thank you for doing that beautiful song."
Yeah. Wow. Roger, as you go on in your career in gospel music, and all of you, as you go on after Elvis in your career in gospel music, once people found out, or they might have known going in, that you work with Elvis, I'm assuming that there's always time left to tell stories about Elvis, because other artists, other gospel singers, rock singers, whatever, but they're fans of Elvis as well. And I have to think they're always asking you guys about what was it like to be with him? Even a rock star saying.
It's really quite amazing that if people find out, I'm 78 now, if people find out that I was with Elvis with the Imperials, no kidding, they get really excited about it. I said, "Well, thank you, I'm 78, I'll see you later." Elvis, I should probably say this. We got married in Vegas, my wife and I. And we got married, and then we went over to the hotel for not for the concert, for rehearsal. And so we were in there rehearsing, and my new wife was waiting outside. In fact, it was Wednesday night, and she was going to Bible study, and had a Bible in her hand. But we went in there, and we were singing a while, and then Elvis found out that I had just gotten married, and he said, "Hey man, why didn't you invite me to the wedding?" I didn't have an answer. We don't like you. There's got to be some reason, but he was very gracious to us in that regard, very generous too.
So I'm thinking, as a singer, it means a lot to sing with Elvis, as a musician, a lot to play with Elvis. But I'm thinking, as a songwriter, to have Elvis cover one of your songs is almost a type of songwriting immortality, because those songs are always going to be played. We've pretty much proven that in the last 48 years. It's not stopping. Raise your hand if Elvis cut one of your songs that you wrote. Right there.
You know, the funny thing is, Brenda Lee cut the same song.
That's right. Bringing it back. Right there. Brett Gordon, bringing it back.
Thank you.
Tell us about that song and Brenda and Elvis's version of that song.
Well, I got a phone call one day from, I forget who it was, some guy at the publishing company, and he said, "Are you Greg?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Well, Elvis just recorded your song." And I went, "What?" It was a single in 1975.
Yeah.
And then Brenda Lee cut it, and she singled it.
Yeah.
So they kind of pulled against each other, so neither one of them was really number one, you know.
Yeah.
But that's fine with me.
And that song, part of the new Sunset Boulevard album, because Elvis cut it out in Los Angeles, and it's on the new box set that just came out.
I didn't know that either.
Well, watch your mailbox.
Yeah.
Royalty checks coming.
Royalty
Yeah.
checks coming, yeah.
Good addition on the house.
Yeah, I wish I could have thanked him for doing my song, but he passed away 2 years later, and I never was around him.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Like we said, those songs live forever, and there was a point in the morning when we were talking and you guys were clapping, and you didn't know I heard you. He said, "This is his legacy."
Yep.
You. Well, there's been an honor bestowed on very few, given by Graceland in the name of Elvis and Elvis Presley Enterprises. A thing called the Graceland Legends. It's a thing that was created to honor and recognize the musicians and musical groups who were an integral part of Elvis's legendary career. Past inductees include the TCB Band, James Burton, Ronnie Tutt, Glenn D. Harden, Jerry Schiff. The Blue Moon Boys, Scotty Moore, Bill Black, DJ Fontana. The Nashville Cats, David Briggs, Norbert Putnam, and Charlie McCoy. The Jordanaires, and the Sweet Inspirations. And today, the Imperials join them.
And now we proudly present the Imperials.
With a sound as rich as their history, the Imperials became one of gospel music's most respected quartets and an essential part of Elvis Presley's musical journey. When Jake Hess formed the Imperials in late 1963, the original lineup featured Hess, Cheryl Nielsen, Armin Morales, Gary McSpadden, and Henry Slaughter. They signed a television contract, and their weekly show aired in Memphis, Tennessee, eventually catching the attention of one very important viewer, Elvis Presley. A lifelong gospel fan and admirer of Jake Hess, Elvis took notice. when he began preparing to record his first gospel LP in early 1966, he wanted the Imperials to sing backup. The session produced the Grammy-winning masterpiece, How Great Thou Art. In 1968, Jake Hess left the group, replaced by Terry Blackwood. As the decade progressed, the lineup shifted again. From 1969 through 1971, the live show lineup, Jim Murray, Armin Morales, Terry Blackwood, Joe Moscheo, Roger Wiles, and Greg Gordon became a fixture on Elvis's concert stages, especially during his legendary Las Vegas engagements. Night after night, they delivered powerhouse performances, blending the passion of gospel with the electricity of rock and roll, adding depth and soul to Elvis's already magnetic stage presence. From the quiet reverence of the recording studio to the bright lights and roar of the concert stage, the Imperials brought unmatched harmony, heartfelt faith, and an undeniable spark to Elvis Presley's music. They weren't just backup singers, they were collaborators, friends, and an integral part of his gospel legacy. Today, we honor the Imperials as Graceland Legends.
Former Imperials, the family of Armin Morales, the family of Joe Moscheo, the family of Cheryl Nielsen. We would also like to have awards for Henry Slaughter, Jake Hess, and Gary McSpadden, all members of the Imperials with Elvis. For you and your family, welcome, Graceland Legends. Nancy Marchese, with your awards. Congratulations, Terry. We have awards for each of you and for your family member. Thank you for being here today. It means so much for us to honor the contributions of your families. We've been listening to their music for years. Be sure to check out our Graceland Luggage shop to get yourself an extra piece of luggage to take home your award. There's a reason they're so large and heavy.
You got to be in shape to hold these things.
We do want to thank you all for being here and sharing your talent with Elvis and with our Elvis family.
Thank you for having us. Thank you very much.
One more time. The newest inductees in the Graceland Legends.